Good morning and happy Tuesday, everyone. So, at this point, considering that Hot Ones is coming back on Thursday, I imagine you all are anxiously waiting for me to react to who the first new guest of 2024 is going to be. I'm excited about that too, and I will be getting to that, but we have some priorities. A little high and active kindness, of course. I would say, what would I? I guess I don't really know what I would consider a low. I mean, nothing particularly bad happened or enough to be considered a low. I mean, if you hear something that annoys you, I guess that counts as a low, but I don't think it counts as like that big of a low, I suppose. Actually, you know what, there is one thing that, okay, I don't know, yeah, I'll just say it's my low because I really can't think of anything else. And that's the fact that we actually have a winter weather advisory warning. From like 9 o'clock this morning to like 4, we're supposed to get like a ton of snow. And because of that, a lot of schools, with the exception of Horseheads, at this moment in time, have not canceled. Which is good. You know, if you really feel that concerned or, worried, by all means, cancel school. I get that. In fact, you really should have canceled school. Wait, wasn't there just a big snowstorm literally like last Tuesday? Okay, so you couldn't cancel school then, but you're going to cancel it today, before the snow arrives. Alright. My problem with that is, I'm okay with canceling school if you absolutely have to. And, I can't help but feel good that kids feel excited they get to stay home from school, play in the snow and stuff like that. I get that. It's nice. But you guys do know that the less snow days you use up throughout the year, the sooner summer vacation starts, right? Or possibly you could use it for spring break. The point is, you get more time off from school for a longer period of time if you just don't use any snow days. But I get it. Sometimes it's absolutely necessary, and I can respect the I guess whoever's in charge of calling the schools to close for the day. So yeah. Honestly, again, it just proves that this time of year has really been crazy regarding the weather. Particularly how cold snow can be or how dangerous driving in snow can be. But, if it's any consolation, we're almost done with January. Just a little over a week from now, January's going to be over. And I'm personally very excited for it. Okay, so that's my low. My high is, I saw monsters. Okay, I'll explain what that is in a minute. In fact, I'll probably be doing that after I do a reaction to who this week's Hot Ones guest is. And, my act of kindness would be that I ran some errands for my grandmother yesterday. Again, nothing particularly bad happened yesterday. In fact, it was for a Monday of all things, it was pretty okay. I mean, the morning kind of dragged on a little bit. The morning seemed like it was kind of long. But, again, nothing bad happened. So, I'll take that. So, I think it's about time we react to this week's Hot Ones gift, shall we? And the first Hot Ones guest of 2024. I can't wait to see who it is. Yeah, okay. So, Okay. Before I look down, do I have any last minute speculation? Well, you know what? As I was getting ready for bed last night, a thought occurred to me. Like, what if this is the season that we finally get Snoop Dogg? I mean, come on. Like, if there was ever a celebrity that Hot Ones fans, dubbed Spice Lords, have been chomping at the bit to see take on the Wings of Death, it is Snoop Dogg. Like, believe me, that's a reaction that would go, like seriously, if Snoop Dogg was ever a guest on Hot Ones and I did a reaction to that, like my reaction would, like that'd be the most, well, I don't know if it would go completely viral, but it would be insane. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, I literally could just see the internet exploding with information like, oh, Snoop Dogg's gonna be on Hot Ones. It's not gonna be Snoop Dogg. No way. Don't get me wrong. It'd be cool as hell, but it's not gonna happen. So, without further ado, the first Hot Ones guest of 2024 is... The first guest of Hot Ones 2024, Hot Ones season 23, first Hot Ones guest 2024 is Sydney Sweeney. I have no idea who that is. To the internet, which I am already on. Sydney Sweeney, okay. Okay. She's an actress that's known for hold on. Okay. Known for HBO drama series Euphoria and the first season of the anthology series The White Lotus. She's going to be in Madam Web. Okay. Chances are Chances are I think Sydney Sweeney is on Hot Ones to promote Madam Web. That seems like the most logical thing to do. I mean, personally, if you're going to promote that movie, why don't you just get Dakota Johnson? Oh, maybe Dakota Johnson will be the guest the week prior to, like the day before Madam Web is in theaters. That'd be pretty cool. I mean, look, as far as I know, Dakota Johnson hasn't been a guest on Hot Ones yet. And Madam Web is right around the corner. And that is the first, like, I guess you could say big blockbuster movie that we should be getting this year. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I just saw Mean Girls a couple weeks ago, and that was a lot of fun. But, like, when you think, like, huge blockbuster extravaganza, you think, like, comic book movies. You think Madam Web. So, if Sydney Sweeney is on Hot Ones and she's not promoting Madam Web, that is insane to me. I mean, I know she just had a movie called Anyone But You, that released in theaters a couple months ago. A month ago? Yeah, like just over a month ago. Like that movie premiered. So maybe she's trying to do a few rounds regarding that movie. But I really can't see any other reason why she'd be, on Hot Ones other than to promote Madam Web. So, Sydney Sweeney. Well, nothing else. We got alliteration out of it. We like alliteration around here. Alliteration is awesome. Now, without further ado, let's talk about some monsters. Right, out of context, you're not going to know what I'm talking about. Well, before One Piece, author Eiichiro Oda created a one-shot story. Basically a short story titled Monsters. Lots of manga could do this. They usually make short stories that are either, rough drafts of what their ultimate story is going to be, or, maybe it just takes in the same universe as the story they wind up making, or maybe it shows off like that mangaka's style. So therefore, when they write the real story, like, that looks like what he did over here. Okay, that's interesting. In the case of monsters, it actually is in canon with One Piece. Now, I haven't actually read, the actual manga itself. I know about monsters because, I know that it exists, for one thing, but also, they just adapted the short into an anime. The short story into an anime. Titled Monsters 103 Mercies Dragon Damnation. Which is in direct reference to when Zoro defeated King on Wano in One Piece. In the Wano arc. Now, the premise is very simple, really. There's this traveling swordsman who's starving. He's given good food, and he doesn't have any money, but he wants to repay someday. Meanwhile, there's this other big shot swordsman who was known for saving this one little girl from a village after it was destroyed by a dragon. Now, in the meanwhile, 10 years before the actual story of monsters happens, something called the dragon horn was stolen. The dragon horn, very simple, you blow it up, that summons a dragon. Now, with that said, needless to say, the swordsman who, quote unquote, saved that little girl, first off, the little girl is the one who gave, the traveling swordsman some food. Meanwhile, the famous swordsman, by the way, Mr. Shirano, that's his name, Mr. Shirano, basically he's the bad guy. I mean, yes, he saved that little girl from the village after it was destroyed, but him and his accomplice DR are the bad guys of this story. Basically, DR has the dragon horn. They tell the people to flee the town, flee the city, otherwise, the dragons will come destroy them. And while everyone is gone, they loot the town. These are very bad people. Meanwhile, said swordsman, the swordsman, I haven't named yet, and I'll explain why in a minute. He overhears this, and he murders the two bad guys, but that still doesn't solve the problem with the dragon. Well, he slays the dragon. Yes, the traveling swordsman slays the dragon. It's actually pretty badass, too. So, you're probably wondering, what does that have to do with One Piece? Well, at the very end of the short, it is revealed that the traveling swordsman's name was Ryuma. Ryuma Shumotsuki. Now, for those who don't know what One Piece is, or how Ryuma fits into One Piece, Ryuma Shumotsuki is hailed as the greatest samurai to have ever hailed from the land of Wano. Known for, again, slaying a dragon. That's why he did monsters. Now keep in mind, Ryuma's story happens centuries before the main story of One Piece does. Centuries before Luffy, Zoro, and the rest of the Straw Hats are even born. However, about 20 years before the main story, Gecko Moria, who was a villain, the villain of the Thriller Bark arc in One Piece, actually traveled to Wano and stole Ryuma's dead corpse. See, the way that Gecko Moria's powers work is his Shadow Shouter can take the shadow of a person, and you can actually put that into a corpse and make a zombie. So, the guy straight up desecrated Ryuma's corpse. And because Ryuma was a swordsman, Zoro had to fight him. And as a token of Zoro winning, Zoro got to carry Ryuma's legendary sword, Shusui, which Ryuma uses in the short in Monsters. Now, what's even more interesting is if you watch One Piece and if you see Monsters, then you would notice that Ryuma and Zoro look exactly alike. Ryuma just has different color hair than Zoro does. Well, that's actually not by chance, as Zoro is a descendant of Ryuma. In fact, the village that he grew up in, Shumovsky Village, was founded by a direct descendant of Ryuma Shumovsky. Crazy, huh? It's actually, on the whole, it's a great short. It's just a half hour long. No big deal. The animation is solid. You find Ryuma to be a very likable person. He's not perfect, but he's still a very likable person. Not to mention, come on. Just the way that he beheaded the dragon alone. That's worth a watch. In of itself. So, if you ever have an opportunity to see, because it's been both it's subbed and dubbed. I saw the dubbed version. Plus, honestly, it's great to hear Christopher R. Sabat being Zoro again. He's always been Zoro, but to hear his voice as being the narrator and Zoro later because what happens at the end of the Monster short is everyone in the town after he saved the town, what was the swordsman's name? And then someone said, I heard his name was. I heard the king's name is Ryuma. So Ryuma was actually the king. Who would thunk it? I think when I say king, I don't mean king like actual ruler king. I think king more like the title of being the best at something. That's what I think what it's implying to. So, all that said, well, see what happens is, then it cuts all the way centuries later to Thriller Bark, after Zoro finishes defeating Ryuma, or Ryuma's corpse that is. And it shows Zoro getting Shusui. And then, I'm paraphrasing this, but then Zoro says, whoever you were when you were alive, I'm sure you were probably a really great guy. Let's pretend this fight never happened. Samurai from Wano. Needless to say, listen, only just about, over a year and a half ago, the Wano arc ended in One Piece, and it lived up to absolutely all of the hype that it was generated way back in 2006 when the Thriller Bark arc was being published. So, if you're a One Piece fan, this is definitely a must-watch. It is. Especially when, again, it is in canon with One Piece. If you're a fan of swords and dragons, yeah, you should watch this. If you, as a One Piece fan, are really interested in the lore and history of the world of One Piece, my point is there's a lot to like about this, and I highly recommend you give it a watch. But, I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever do this, but I really hope they, make more stories about Ryuma. They never did explain how he died. That interests me more. Simply because, Ryuma Shimosuke was the greatest swordsman in the world. In fact, he was probably the first world's greatest swordsman. How the hell did he die? Because I'm thinking, well, my first thought is that he just died of natural causes, old age and such. That would make the most sense to me. But then again, the world of One Piece has had its fair share of, cruelness happen. I would not be surprised if he ever got murdered. But perhaps that's something we'll never know. Honestly, Monsters was a lot of fun. And I recommend it. I hope you all like this video. If you like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow on social media. As always, I'm very home in this video. For all you guys watching, enjoy the video. Hopefully you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. And remember, if you guys want to talk to channels, we're here to lend you. I'll see you back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.